Welcome to another episode of Purchase to Profits. I'm Seth Ferguson. Make sure you hit the subscribe button so you don't miss our daily interviews with successful real estate investors. And I've put together the top 7 key market drivers I look at when analyzing a real estate market. Go to sethferguson.org to download your free copy. Our guest today has partnered on $30 million worth of multifamily real estate in his first 2 years in the industry. Chad Wittfeldt is with Blue Spruce Holdings. Chad, welcome to Purchase to Profits. It's great to have you on the show.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me on, Seth.
Yeah, we're really looking forward to this. You're a young guy, 2 years in so far, doing some really cool stuff. So let's kick things off and talk about your real estate goals right now.
Yeah, there's quite a few, obviously, and externally and internally, especially in the multifamily syndication business. It's great being an operator and a GP and putting, passive income into my life and doing all those things. But what really, really drives it is the impact we have on our passive investors and just giving them a vehicle to invest outside the stock market backed by a hard asset. And so I'd say, that really started to pick up to me recently as we've started really pumping out distributions to our investors, having our former passive investors wanting to keep coming back into our next deal. And I really, saw the impact it was having on them and just how excited they were to be doing deals with us, working with us. And so that goal has really overcame the internal personal goal of financial freedom and passive income and so on and so forth. So definitely two sides of the coin, but my main goal really is just to keep growing my portfolio alongside with my investors, keep doing great deals, and, keep putting the returns quarter over quarter to our distributions and our investors.
Yeah. And when you say, keep growing your personal portfolio, do you have targets that you want to hit at some point down the road? Like, how do you really think about it so you can start planning ahead?
Yeah, absolutely. And there's kind of two sides of that question as well. I mean, it's great to have goals. It's great to say, oh, I want to acquire 500 units this year, or I want to do 50 million in acquisitions in the next 2 quarters, whatever those, monetary or, quantifying goals are. But for me, I just want to be doing the best deals I can possibly do. And I'm not willing to embark on a bad deal just to hit my 500 door count for the year. So it's kind of this battle royale between the two. But I mean, to answer that question, certainly I want to acquire 500 units in the next quarter. And I want, right now I'm working on a deal that's 232 units, and that'll really ramp up our portfolio, and it's a great deal, and I'm really excited to work on it. Now, if something comes up in due diligence, or if you can't work with something that happens with the seller, I'm not going to push on a bad deal just to hit my goal. So, yeah.
Yeah, no, that's a good way to think about it because, especially where we're at in terms of the market cycle, the good deals are few and far between. And, if you're feeling the fire just to do a deal, you'll usually end up in hot water at some point because of that. Yeah.
Exactly.
And so what got you started in real estate? Just because, most of the people we interview have a couple more gray hairs than you do. So, what kind of sparked your interest?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, so I grew up in a lower middle class family area, and I started working in a country club at a pretty young age. And it was one of the most affluent country clubs in the entire state that I grew up in. And just being surrounded in that environment by just an astronomical amount of money and freedom. That was primarily the freedom, because I saw that, not a lot of people are playing golf Tuesdays and Wednesdays and Thursdays during the middle of the work week and having their meetings there. And so I saw that and really just started getting to network with some of these, high level entrepreneurs and investors. Every single one of them owned real estate. There wasn't a single successful person in that room that didn't own some asset, whether passive or active, whatever. So that really started piquing my interest. And obviously, your go-to books like Rich Dad, Poor Dad, just the starters, right? And I always just saw real estate as this beast, right? Like, I didn't know how to get started. I knew I didn't want to be an agent. But I was just so overwhelmed. I didn't know like what to do. And I had just moved to Denver, Colorado. I'm a huge mountain biker. So I was going around to all these bike parks, just, looking to meet friends and do the thing. And one of the very first person I met, I, again, just wanted to make a friend, He says, yeah, man, I'm in real estate. We just got started a little bit ago working with these investors. I'm like, that sounds really cool. I've been wanting to get into real estate and just never knew how. And so I wound up aligning with that team and figuring out how I could add as much value to it as possible, and became a partner in all our deals is my equity, right? So
Nice.
really just by happen chance. Obviously there was a little, backstory before that, but I didn't know I was going to do this. I didn't know I wanted to do this until I started doing this.
Yeah. That's cool. So who's the other big biker on the team then?
My partner, he's our main underwriter. His name is Brad Lowry.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, he's a really fun person to ride bikes with for sure. We like to get after it sometimes. So
nice. Yeah. And you mentioned that you saw the freedom in the country club with all the people there. What does freedom mean to you? Because everybody's got a little bit of a different definition.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, right now for me, being a young guy and really just I tell this to people all the time, just a kid from Michigan and, living in the sticks. I don't have this extravagant vision of life right now. I don't need to go buy a Lamborghini and the big house and this and that. So for me right now, in my place with my goals, it's really just being able to do what I want without having to ask someone permission to go do it.
Yeah.
And that's really simple things like being able to go ride my dirt bike on a Tuesday morning and not having to request a day off or put in PT or pay time off or fake a sick day. I just go do it because I can.
Yeah.
And obviously that goes through different facets of my life, but just having that freedom available to go take a trip or go do whatever I want just one morning when I wake up and my workload proceeds to. So just simple freedom like that is really all it is for me right now. So,
yeah. And what would you say, because you spend a lot of time with the membership in the club, what would you say the biggest differences are about how the membership thought about business and real estate versus how most people think about business and real estate?
Yeah, I'm just 180-degree mindset. I mean, Grant Cardone kind of coined that term now. If it owns one door, sorry, I got to shut this window, man. Sorry about that. We'll pull back. I started mowing their lawn out there.
Oh, it's all good.
So I'll just go back a couple seconds. Sorry.
Yeah.
So Grant Cardone kind of coined that term of if it has one door, rent it. If it has multiple doors, own it. And so I think a lot of people just have that mindset that going out and buying a house is the best investment you'll ever make because you're building equity in it and you're living in it and so on and so forth. And the wealthier, more affluent mindset type people, they look at real estate as just like an opportunity for growth and cash flow. And the more savvy ones, obviously tax incentives as well. So they just understood the entire process behind real estate and how it can be used as a wealth generating vehicle instead of just a place to build equity. And I think there's a really big difference between those two.
Yeah, for sure. And like you said, most people, their goal is to pay off their house. So they've got all this equity, but then it's just stuck there sitting unused and you can't really tap into it. And so it's like you said, it's a totally 180-degree difference on how people think about it. So what sort of routines and rituals have you developed so far? Because you're 2 years in to the business that have helped make you successful.
Yeah, I got a really good story for that. I mean, it was a really pivotal moment because I tell you, the first year I was just business, grind. And I didn't spend time on my health or my diet or my passions. I was just so disgustingly focused in it. And it was good and it was bad, right? Like I got my couple deals done and really started to get some momentum under my belt and have some credibility and a track record and all these things. But then I got to look out at it from an outsider and be like, man, I'm gaining weight. I'm in the worst shape I've ever been in my entire life. I eat like crap. By 3 o'clock, I feel like I'm hitting a wall. And so I just had this like massive pivotal epiphany moment. And so really just taking care of myself, taking care of my health and eating good and not going out to fast food because I convinced myself, I told myself this story that, I didn't have time to go cook a meal and prepare for the week. And so once that changed, I found myself just operating in my personal life and my business life with so much more focus, clarity, and direction. And it made leaps and bounds in my productivity. and the quality of it. And
Yeah.
that was what's really allowed me to have the extra freedom, right? Because obviously you can have monetary freedom, which sure, it can buy you time freedom, but there needs to be something there to build that time freedom into just by getting done what you need to get done. Obviously I'm at that stage where I'm still a very active operator. I'm not like passive removed in the business, right? So that was really, really huge. And then it's funny, it's sitting right next to me. The second thing is just having this is what I call a momentum planner. And it's not a schedule. It's not a to-do list. It is just every Sunday night, I just write down every most impactful thing I need to get done in my business, for my clients, in my personal life, for the week moving forward. It's no specific order. It's all very important stuff. And it doesn't necessarily need to get done at specific times. Some of it does, some of it doesn't. But the really important thing that has changed a lot for me is getting the voice out of my head. I would find myself lying awake at night like, oh crap, I need to get this, and this done.
Yeah.
I need to get this done. Here's when I need to do this. And it would never allow me to remove myself from it because I never got it out on paper. I never got those thoughts out. I'm like, oh, I don't need to keep thinking of them because they're right here. It's good. And so that's provided a lot, like it's been a huge stress reducer for me. And again, just really allows me to stay super focused on my tasks. I'm never spending time in an intermedium thinking about what I need to do because it's all right there for me right then and there. And that's been a really big help for me to keep just building and going to where I want to go.
Yeah, no, that's some good stuff. Let's talk about a keystone deal. So a deal that made a big impact on your business. Is there one that comes to mind?
Yeah, for sure. Certainly my first deal. It was just my very, very first deal. And even if it was the worst deal I've ever done, I'd still tell you about it. But it's definitely the best performing deal we've done so far.
Nice.
It's just 83 units in Branson, Missouri. Just a real straightforward, light value add C-class multifamily apartment. And it was so impactful for me because coming into this space, like I said, I had just moved to Denver. So you have a lot of these conversations with old friends and family. Oh, how's Denver? How was the move? What are you doing for work? What are you doing out there? Say, oh, I'm buying apartment buildings with some of my friends. You're like, you're doing what? No, you're not. Like, dude, just go get a real job, man. You're crazy, man. Come back down to earth. Like, there was a lot of negative external talk around that when it first started. And so that first deal not only proved to myself, but it proved to my environment around me. And that was my coach. That was my education, was doing my first deal with a team who's, far more experienced in real estate than I am at the time. And so it was a very pivotal moment for me just to see that, okay, yes, this is possible. It makes sense. Yes, I'm capable of it because I've just done it. And that was by far the most impactful deal. And since then, we've closed 4 more apartment complexes, and they're all great deals and they're all performing well. But for sure, the first one has just built so much momentum in my life, business side and personally as well.
Nice.
And I'm a huge believer on the energy and momentum that pulls through your life. So, first deal for sure.
So walk us through the process, because you had no track record. You were new in the business. So you just for people out there, because we have lots of our listeners and viewers who maybe own a handful of single family homes and they want to get into the multifamily. So this question always comes up. So you were biking, you met somebody. Take us from there all the way to closing on that first deal. For
sure. Yeah, so my team was taking some high ticket multifamily education. They had already done some, single family flips, wholesales. They had a handful of duplexes as a team. So they had some experience, but nothing major in multifamily. So they took some education, really started to understand the business and some of the idiosyncrasies between single family and larger commercial properties. And just learning that it's a fairly straightforward process. It's the same concept, it's the same thing, just at a larger scale. And you understanding the fact that economies of scale in multifamily apartments works in your favor, from property management to repositioning, contracting work, so on and so forth. And so at first, this is where the story gets kind of interesting. At first, I was just cold calling brokers. That was all I was doing. It's all I ever did. I'd probably make 25, 30 phone calls a day in different markets trying to get deals. And it was awful. It was absolutely terrible because I would get off these phone calls thinking, man, I just had a great conversation with Joe. Joe's going to send me all the best deals. I'm going to be freaking rich in a month. This is awesome. Well, either there's a couple things Joe did or didn't do. And, the first one is just never send me, never, give me anything. Or he would send me something that was very, very far off from my buying criteria. When I talk to these brokers, I send them a line by line buying criteria. And you'd send me, a single family flip or an empty piece of land or just something way off the radar. And so I went back to my partner. And I said, man, this is not working. Like, these brokers, they don't know us. They don't care about us. They don't think we can close. We don't have any credibility, blah, blah, blah. And I said, man, what if I can position you and this company and myself and everything that we're doing so that we can start attracting deals to us and then start attracting private capital to us? And this is another pretense story I didn't talk about, but beforehand I had another company where all I did was build the brand and the marketing side of things, and then put the systems in the back end, blah, blah, blah. And so I showed them that. I said, man, this is what I did over here in this company. This is how I would do it in this company, so on and so forth. And that's what I call creative leverage. I'm not going to lie, and I've told them this before. I told them I could do some things I didn't know how to do. I just knew I could do them. I knew I could figure it out. I had confidence in myself, like I can do this. And so that's how I leveraged myself and my skills to get in on these deals. And it worked. And we started finding deals, and we had credibility through hosting events and having things like podcasts and speaking on stages and so on and so forth. And then closed our very first deal, and that was 83 units. And today we have 315 units under management, and looking to close is 232 in the next 60 days. So, just creative leverage. Like I said, I had experience in what I knew. I didn't have credit. I didn't have money. I didn't have real estate experience. But what I did have was valuable enough to position it and leverage it to become that type of partner in the business. So
love it. So how did you guys fare with the equity raise, the capital raise? Just because you were new to the space. Did you have any challenges as you were raising the money?
Yeah, I mean, I'd say the best thing to think about is just know the game you're coming to and play accordingly, right? So we brought in an experienced partner on our first deal and gave him a certain amount of percentages of the GP, and he had already closed 1,000 units, something. So he had the experience. He was on the GP. He was one of the partners with us, an operator with us. So being able to position yourself with someone else's credibility is super important. Then we had another partner who was also very credible, who helped sign on the loan for liquidity net worth purposes, right? And then, obviously you get your property manager in place, and then you go off their credibility. Look, the people who are operating this day to day, they've been doing this for 30 years. They're currently managing 2,500 units in this area. Here's why, so on and so forth. And so just knowing your investors' concerns and addressing them before they do makes it the whole entire raising capital process so different. So just be prepared to come to the table knowing what you're up against. And we certainly knew that. And so we just did everything in our power to mitigate that friction, I'd say. And that's just what worked for us. And now, we've been returning our investors money every quarter. And we don't have that friction anymore because we built the name for ourselves. And our investors are just really excited to get into our next deals. And so I guess the best advice is to just know what you're coming to and realize and understand that if you're positioning yourself as an operator with a credible brand and influence and being public with the things that you do, you're never going to have that problem again. And that's the power of a brand.
Yeah,
that's my advice.
100%. And this really exemplifies the importance of having that first deal, like you said, because the first deal is always the hardest one. But it's almost like you're running hills, and once you get to the top after that first one, everything just becomes so much easier. You have the track record now and all that stuff.
Absolutely. And I think that's another thing too. People who might be operating that single family space wanting to get into apartments, they look like I did. They look at it like it's this massive beast of a project. But what they don't understand is multifamily real estate's a team sport. there's a lot of people, there's a lot to go around. There's so much there that you have that extra spread to give up more of the deal to get it done. Bring the people in that need to be in the deal. And obviously you need to do your due diligence on those people and vet them properly and so on and so forth. That's a whole nother conversation, but just wrapping your head around the fact that partnership's great. It's great to win with the people around you. You don't have to do it all alone.
Well, for sure. And especially, when you're using other people's money, there is an expectation that the people running the project will be experts at what they do. So if, you might not be an expert in underwriting, but trust me, your investors will expect expert underwriting in the deal.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
No, so some really good tips. So how has getting into real estate changed your life so far? Because it sounds like it's been pretty crazy for the past 2 years.
It really has been. Like I said, again, one of the very first goals I had with real estate is just to have enough passive income that comes in through my deals quarter over quarter, just to pay my living expenses. And like I said, man, I live really cheap, but that just happened on my last deal. And so having that happen was really, really cool. Because now, don't get me wrong, I'm going to keep doing this. I love doing this. I'm going to keep doing this for a while. But if I didn't want to, I could not work for the next 7 years and still have a place to live. That's a pretty cool thing. And then I think that, going back to earlier, just being my own boss and just, this past week I went to Austin, Texas, took off, Wednesday afternoon, and it's just no, I'm not calling in to work. I'm not putting it on a schedule. I'm not taking PTO. If I want to go do something, I'm going to go do it. And that's probably one of the most powerful things that I could ever personally have in my life. Just the type of person I am and how much I enjoy my autonomy and my free time and being able to pursue my passions and my hobbies outside of real estate. It's just changed my life tenfold, and it continues to every day.
Yeah, for sure. And let's look ahead, let's say 10 years into the future. Where will you be in 10 years with your portfolio and yourself?
For sure, a couple thousand units, 3,000-4,000 units. Absolutely. All deals that I'll do with partners and capital partners and so on and so forth. I don't really see myself getting out of the syndication space soon. And one thing I've been doing recently, and this is for sure not a self promo because I'm completely sold out, so you can't hire me. But I've been coaching people, and I've been really, really enjoying that. And I only coach them at things that I'm really, really good at. So, you don't come to me to learn how to buy an apartment. You come to me on how to build and market a brand behind real estate and put the systems in process and leverage the technology. So I only do what I'm really good at. And it's just so, so powerful seeing some of my students have success and learning how to leverage themselves and get on deals and so on and so forth. And so one of my students recently, she's been with me for a couple months and just partnered on a $7 million deal.
Nice.
And so somebody else's success over mine is it hits home, man. It definitely hits heart. And so I love that side of it. And so I definitely see myself, keep giving back, keep, putting out good content for people to consume and learn alongside of me and join with me. So, yeah, I mean, I don't really see myself having some type of massive coaching program or anything like that, but I definitely get a lot out of, helping people and inspiring them to just think different. And even if it's outside of real estate, just seeing and understanding that there's so much more out there. Because if some 25-year-old kid from the sticks of Michigan can do something different, so can you. So
yeah,
I like the proof of concept.
Yeah. Well, the key thing is how impactful it can be on somebody's life because you've experienced it firsthand. I find with people, as soon as their mind and their eyes open up to what is possible, that's the game changer because their perception of how the world operates changes right away. It's really cool.
It's amazing. And it's just amazing to see it unfold in front of your eyes and being the energy driver behind it. That's the money for me right there.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. So Chad, if somebody's looking to reach out, get in touch, you mentioned you're sold out right now, but if they want to learn more about what you're doing, where can people find you?
Yeah, for sure. I put out quite a bit of content on Instagram and Facebook. A lot of it, it's kind of funny. I tell them all the time, look, you're getting free coaching right now. Every time I get off a call with one of my paid students and something pivotal happens, I go on Instagram or Facebook and talk about what that person learned so I can try and give it to as many people as I can for free. So Instagram, Facebook, it's just my name @Chad Wittfeldt. Find me there, say hello, and look forward to, providing some value to some of y'all.
That's great. Well, Chad, just want to say thanks so much. This was a lot of fun. We learned a lot, and thanks for taking the time today.
Thank you. I appreciate you having me on.
It was my pleasure. And to you, our viewers, I wish you well on your journey from purchase to profits. See you next time.